see the notification?
Is the screen okay? Do you see clear?
I can see it just fine.
Okay. Now let me turn on my camera real quick. Okay, can you see me?
Yep, I can see you and Kutai also.
Okay. Hello everyone, I am Yavuzhan and I'll be talking about our library management system. Now let's talk about our project's purpose. The library management system is a system that helps to enter new books, record books borrowed by borrowers with the respective submission dates. Our library management system helps us manage books, authors, publishers, borrowed books, borrowers, other branches of a library, and the copies of the same book if there's any. Why should you choose us? Our interface has a minimalist design that is simple to understand by all users, and it works quick. It is also relatively cheap and not too costly to maintain. Because of these reasons, next iterations for our system is easy and inexpensive to develop. The first fact-finding technique we have used in developing our system is researching. On the internet, we examined how a library system must be and what other similar library systems are like and improved, updated our system accordingly. The second fact-finding technique we have used is observation. While developing our library system, we observed how other similar library systems work on the internet. Now let's get to our ER diagrams. The first table we're going to be talking about in the ER diagram is the author table. The author table has three attributes called author ID, author first name, and author last name. On the right is the SQL queries used to create this table and declare author ID as the primary key. We can see the create table statement, alter table, and add primary key statements on the right. The second table is the book table. This table has 6 attributes shown in the diagram called book ID, which is the primary key of this table, title of the book, number of pages, publishing year, type of the book, and the language of the book. Author ID, borrow ID, and publisher ID are the foreign keys. Again, on the right is the SQL queries used in creating this table, adding the primary key and adding the foreign key constraints. You can see the create table, alter table, add primary key, and add constraint statements on the right, and also on the bottom. Now let's get to the borrow table. The borrow table has 6 attributes shown in the diagram. Borrow ID is the primary key, borrowing date, bring back date which states the due time, loan time indicates how many days the book has been borrowed for, delay time shows how many days have passed since the due date, and the fine attribute shows us the fine for late delivery. Borrower ID is the foreign key in this table. We can see the create table borrow, alter table borrow, add key, add constraint statements used here for creating the table, adding primary and foreign keys. The next table is the borrower table. The attributes are the following: borrower ID, which is the primary key of this table, borrower first name, borrower last name, borrower phone, borrower second phone, address, ID number, date of birth, age, gender, male, and student verification. On the screen is the SQL queries for creating this table. And now we'll be talking about the publisher table. The attributes of this table are publisher ID, which is the primary key, publisher name, publisher mail, publisher address, and publisher phone. On the right, you can also see the SQL queries required to creating this table. Nisa will continue from here.
Hello friends, I'm Nisa and I will continue. This is our branch table. We want to have multiple branches in our library system. So if a book is not in one branch, we can search if it is in another branch. There are three attributes in this table. Branch ID is primary key, and other attributes about branch address and contact. Next, this is our book branch junction table. This table is intermediate table between book and branch table because they have many-to-many relationships. We are going to see after a few slides in ER diagram. In this table, there are two foreign keys. First, book ID is foreign key to book table, and branch ID is foreign key to branch table. And also we can see create table query, alter table SQL queries. Next, this is our book copies table. We created this table to keep different copies of the same book in the database. Book ID is foreign key to book table. The book IDs of the same books are same, but book copy IDs are different. For example, if we want to see how many copies of the same book there are, we can write a SQL query with count aggregate function in this table. Next, our last table is date table. In our system, we have many-to-many relationship between book table and borrower table. So we created an intermediate table between these two tables. Also, we will see in ER diagram soon. This table is date table. We have three attributes and two foreign keys. First foreign key is book ID for book table, and second foreign key is borrower ID for borrower table. Next, and this is ER diagram. There aren't our true intermediate table in ER diagram, and there aren't foreign keys for now. We will see them in the next slide. We can have 7 tables here. Now we can see many-to-many relationships between book borrower table and book branch table, because there can be more than one borrower of a book or copies of it. At the same time, a borrower can borrow more than one book. And also, maybe a book has not a borrower. That means in the library, book is in the library for now. There is one-to-one relationship between author and book table. One author can have one book or multiple books. One book must have an author. In the same way, a book must have a publisher. One publisher can publish a lot of books. Next, there are non-tables. These tables are all tables. There are book branch junction intermediate table and date intermediate table, and also all relationships and all foreign keys in this table. And now we will continue Mete.
Hello there, I am Mete Anal, and most of my part in this presentation is going to be about user interface. On the right side of the page, there is the mockup of the manager panel of our library system, and you can see how we can add books from UI. Every placeholder on this page is monitored field. Now, next page. This page is for adding a new member to the library. Except for the second phone section, every placeholder here is also mandatory to fill. Next page. On this page, the manager can assign books to the library members. It's pretty simple, you can see. Next page. Here you can see the return page. You can return the books if you enter borrow ID and borrower ID. And for people to bring back the books in timely manner, we have a find system that adds 5 currency of your choosing multiplied by the days that it is not delivered back to the library. Of course, this is all optional and changeable by the manager. Now, next page. Yes. You can view the books that are in the system from this page. You can update if there is some wrong information about the book, or completely remove them if it isn't in your inventory anymore. Now let's go to the next page. This is for the administrator to add new manager to the system, so we can keep track of which staff did what operation in the system. We hope that this will add transparency and reliability to the system. Thank you for listening to me. Kutay will take it over from here.
Thank you. I will continue on same topic. This is the list of all borrow books. This list gives us the book ID, title, author, borrower ID, bring back date. When user selects a book, this current return date will automatically fill. Next, please. We can reach books which borrower have done by using this SQL code. Select all from book, inner join, borrow on borrow.borrowid equal book.borrowid. We checked if the book has expired by using the delay time, and the code at the bottom give borrower ID to us. Added where in addition to above, these are the examples of result when we run the code. For example, the second book is not shown at second table because there is no delay in the second book. Next, please. This is the same page again. I will show how we extend the due date of the borrow book. This current return date will be filled automatically when user selects a book from the list above. When the user enters a new return date and presses the extend button, the return date will be updated. This SQL code on left helps us in this case. For example, we extend the bring back date whose borrow ID is 6565. Next, please. Let's continue with author list tab. This is the list of all authors list. This list gives us the author ID, full name, last name, and number of book. This SQL code allows us to reach this list. This count part helps us to show number of book of authors. Next, please. This is the same page. I will show how user can update, remove, and add author to the list. When user fills the information boxes and presses the button add, insert into code will run. When user selects the author from the list and changes the informations and press the update button, second code will run, update code. Thirdly, when user selects the author and presses the remove button, this author will be removed from the list, so delete code will run. Next, please. Let's continue with publisher list tab. This tab has same design and function with author list. When user presses the add button, insert into code will run. Press the update button, update code will run. Press the remove button, delete code will run. Same as buttons of author list tab. Next, please. We solved the issue of keeping multiple copies in the system by creating book copies table. When only the book ID is entered, the system keeps the books with the same book ID with different book copy ID. Book copy ID is auto increment. It is enough for the user to know the ID of the book, which copy user wants to add to the system. This is the end of our presentation. Thanks for listening.
All right, thank you guys very much. So, does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any questions before? I have a couple that I'd like to bring out. Actually, I'll just go ahead and ask mine then. You do have one person asking if you can share the ER diagram on the screen again. So go ahead and do that while I'm asking this.
Yeah, sure.
One was I noticed that there was an example of derived data in your system. Actually, a couple of examples of derived data. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think the number of days late was an example, and the number of days remaining. So, are you storing those as columns, or are you calculating those when you need them?
Sir, can you ask the question again? I missed the part.
Sure. If you pull up the ER diagram as Umut Baran is requesting, you'll see it. In one of your tables that you showed during the presentation, I noticed that you had like a book loan table or something like where the book is out. And I noticed that you had like a number of days late and a number of days remaining column or something like that.
Mm.
So
there was a delay time and a fine.
You
store the delay time as a column.
Okay. So is that something that
Can you
you'd
see
like?
ER diagram?
I'm not seeing it. I'm only seeing the four of you right now.
Is the delay time in the borrow table here?
So you might need to share your screen. Someone to share the ER diagram.
Oh, I don't share my screen?
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, okay. It must be now.
There
Did you not
go,
see it the whole time, or did you see it earlier?
No, we saw it earlier. Just
Okay.
after the presentation, after Kutai said the presentation was ended, that's when it went to just the four images of you for me at least. So where is it?
borrow table.
Loan time and delay time. Loan time and delay time, I think, are both examples of derived data. So you said you stored those as columns, but would that mean that you would need to update those values every day?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So the other thing is, just kind of a note. So your fine is $5 per day.
You can change that. It's optional.
That seems high.
Yeah, it is high.
That's optional.
Actually.
Yes.
That's the option. You can change it to $1, 1 Turkish liras, 5 Turkish. I don't know. It's up to you.
I mean, I don't have that much money to spend on books being late. All right. Did Umut Baran, did you have a question, or did anyone else have a question?
Can I ask one? Like in that diagram, like I want to ask because I am wondering that too for our presentation. There is a book and borrower relationship there. You say it's 0 to many.
No. Many to many.
Between book and borrower.
Book and borrow tables. There are many to many relationships.
For one book, I'm just talking about one book, there can be 0 or many borrower, right?
Yes.
Is it can be possible to 0? Like
Zero, that means book is in the library. No borrower for now.
So should you put, like, if there is no borrower, why do you put the data inside of borrower if there is a relationship exists? Like, maybe I am mistaking, like, because I am not know there, same as our project.
Sorry, I cannot hear you. Please try.
For one book, you said
Yes.
0 or many borrower.
Yes.
If it is 0 for book, why do you have a record for borrower?
Okay. Because we want to see in is there a borrower or not?
Okay.
Yeah. So is it in library or is it in a borrower?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it looks like you have some other questions in the chat there as well.
There is a question: when we borrow a book, does the borrower borrow it from the system itself? Only manager can use this system, and so the answer is no.
There is one question. If we want to see all brains with a book, how can see it? In ER diagram, there are branch and book tables, and also book branch junction table. Okay. Next slide.
Next slide, okay.
Book ID, branch ID. If we want to see, for example, book ID is 1, in book branch junction, we can write a SQL query where book ID is 1, select yıldız from book branch junction table. Okay. You're welcome.
Search in add manager information kept in the database.
All right. Well, thank you guys. So it's right at 2 o'clock. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and end your presentation here, and then we will move on to the Tirana messaged here asking to be second. So